This is why we love March. Upsets galore in the opening weekend of the NCAA tournament. And if you watch my bracketology video right before the tournament field was announced, I said that this was going to be a crazy tournament. I said that this might be the craziest we've seen in a long, long time. So all these upsets, and you really shouldn't be surprised because there was not a number one team this year in the college basketball landscape. I mean, Virginia was the number one overall seed, and that Virginia team isn't even close to being the best one in the last 5 years. I mean, they had a team where you had Malcolm Brogdon, Justin Anderson, London Parentes, Anthony Gill all on the same roster, and you look at this team, and it's not even close. So if that's the number one overall team, well, then you know that a lot of these teams are pretty jumbled together. And we're seeing it right now. So it looks like at the moment there's going to be a collision course between Villanova and Duke in the Final Four. These two teams look a lot better right now than the rest of the field. Duke completely dominates Rhode Island in the second round. Villanova does the same thing against Alabama. So Villanova clamping down defensively and knocking down three-pointers, a little bit reminiscent of when they won it all in 2016. And then you got Duke, who switched to this 2-3 zone, kind of like Syracuse plays. They're going to play Syracuse in the Sweet 16, coincidentally. So they've got Carter and Bagley along the back line. It's just so much length. You got Duval, you've got Allen and Trent. So there's a lot of length in your starting lineup to play that zone, and Duke looks fantastic. They look phenomenal right now. Communicating well defensively, because when they were playing one-on-one defense earlier in the season, they didn't look good at all. Their defense was getting picked apart. But now they're clamping down. They're getting stops. They're going out and running. They're knocking down three-pointers. They look like the best team, them and Villanova right now. So we're going to have a collision course in San Antonio, and your national championship game is going to be in the Final Four. So, all right, let's take a look at the bracket right now and kind of what we're looking at. So let me pull up my picks. By the way, my favorite story, Loyola Chicago. And check it out, Loyola Chicago. I have them going in the Elite Eight. So this is my bracket. I'm in 89 percentile. I've got 400 points, but all my Elite Eight teams are still on the board. Kentucky, Loyola, Chicago, I got Villanova, Texas Tech, Villanova, Kansas and Duke, Gonzaga, and Michigan. All right, so my favorite story has been Loyola Chicago. I've loved this team all season long. I love the way that they share the basketball. Clayton Custer is a magician with the ball in his hands, and watching them play has been a treasure. Their pastor, I guess, Sister Jean, has been leading them in team prayers before every game, and she must be helping them out because they had two buzzer beaters this weekend. So one late in the game against Miami, and then another one, and that was by Custer in the second round to beat Tennessee. So two upsets for Loyola Chicago, the Ramblers of the Missouri Valley Conference. They are in the Sweet 16. I've been loving the way that they play, and we'll see. I got them going to the Elite Eight. That was my sleeper team this year, and they are making me look smart. Kentucky, another team, kind of like Duke. There was a stretch where they were 8-8, and then they flipped the switch, especially on the defensive end. Gilgeous-Alexander is playing a lot better. Kevin Knox, looking pretty good. His mid-range game has been on point during the first two rounds of the tournament. So they get a pair of wins. I mean, they haven't really played anybody yet. They're still not going to play anybody. So you're looking at potentially beating a 12 seed, a 13 seed, a 9 seed, and at best a 7 seed to get to the Final Four. And Kentucky, that is my national title game, I guess, appearance are there. Kentucky against Duke. That's my pick to win it all is Duke. So you look at this region, man, it's all fucked up. You got a 5 seed, a 9 seed. You got Nevada and Loyola Chicago. Nevada beat Cincinnati in the second round. Nevada just filled with a bunch of transfers. And that's where the game has gone the last couple of years. We're seeing so many transfers dominate the landscape. I mean, they've got a kid, what's his name? Kendall Stevens came from Purdue. You got Jordan Caroline, who started out at Southern Illinois. You got the Martin twins, Caleb and Cody Martin from NC State. Hallis Cook from Iowa State. And they've taken all these transfers, they've molded them together, and Eric Musselman has a team that is now in the Sweet 16. And they almost didn't even beat Texas in the first round. They had to come back from a 14-point deficit to get rid of the Longhorns. And that was a game where it got to overtime, and Mo Bamba, their stalwart on the defensive side of the floor at center, he fouled out before the overtime session. Nevada just started driving to the tin at will, and they moved on by beating the Longhorns. So and then they go and upset Cincinnati, and they are in the Sweet 16. Nevada and Loyola Chicago is a Sweet 16 matchup. All right, let's take a look at up here in the top right. So I've got Texas Tech versus Villanova, as you can see. Villanova is looking like the best team in this bracket. They just completely eviscerated Alabama, even Radford. They got up on Radford by like 20 very early on, and they coasted to a win. They're knocking down shots. Bridges looks fantastic. Bridges just went on this hot – see, that's the thing about this team, man. You had DiVincenzo in the first half, Bridges in the second half. They just get on these hot stretches, and then they go and blow you out. They'll go on a big run, and then all of a sudden they're up by 20 in a blink like that. And they move on to play West Virginia. And, you know, this bracket here is shaping up. We got some top-heavy teams here. So Villanova, West Virginia, that's your Sweet 16 matchup. West Virginia likes to play that press. That's why they call them Press Virginia. But Villanova has the guards to beat them, and I think they should move on. Texas Tech and Purdue. Purdue lost its center, Isaac Haas, to a fractured elbow. So they had a kid by the name of Harm step in to play against Butler. He's more of a defensive player. So he's like a rim protector. He's a better defensive player than Haas, actually, but Haas brings so much on the defensive side or the offensive side of the floor. Very fundamentally sound in the post, the way he can go to the hook, the way he's got that turnaround jumper along the baseline. But Purdue kind of transformed into a three-point shooting team against Butler. They were able to win that Crossroads Classic, so to speak. They play every year, and they face each other in the NCAA tournament, and it's Purdue beating Butler. This Florida-Texas Tech game was awesome, by the way, if you guys didn't see that one. So Texas Tech and Florida, they were just laying haymakers against one another, run after run after run. And then the game turned around when Chris Chiozza picked up his fourth foul. So he sat from about the 12-minute mark to about 4 minutes left in the game. I didn't agree with that, by the way, from Mike White. He should have brought him back sooner. And that's when Texas Tech kind of got some breathing room in the contest. Florida did valiantly make a charge back late in the game, but Texas Tech, they win out at the end. And they have a kid by the name of Zaire Smith. My God, he's a freshman, and he just leaps out of the building. So he had a play against Stephen F. Austin in the opening round where he caught a pass along the baseline. The ball was thrown behind him. So he went – when he caught it, he contorted his body, and his back was facing the rim. And then when he turned around, he went and dunked it. So it amounted to being a 360 alley-oop, and it was outstanding. Zaire Smith, wow, I love this kid. Texas Tech, you got Keenan Evans, great guard play. He was bothered by a toe injury late in the season, and it looks like the effects of that are starting to wear off. He's looking really good. He's all about the hesitation dribble, splitting your defense, getting to the rim, and attacking that. So Texas Tech and Villanova, that's who I got in the Elite Eight. All right, let's take a look at the Midwest bracket. Syracuse. Once again, their zone giving everybody fits. And they go and they knock out Michigan State in Detroit. Michigan State did not shoot the ball well at all. I don't know what the percentages were, but they were missing wide open threes. And it's like one of those things where the Syracuse defense is so good that when you shoot a three and you're open, you're still shooting it and getting rid of it a little bit quicker than you want to because you're worried about that length and you're worried about the closeouts. And that's what Syracuse does so well. Now, on the offensive side of the floor, they don't score well. Tyus Battle and Frank Howard, those are your two scorers. But besides that, they really don't have much. They have Brissett. He's a pretty solid third option. They don't go deep. I mean, they were dealing with foul trouble yesterday with Sidibe and Chukwu. They both picked up like 4 fouls with like 8 minutes left in the game. And you know, if you lose your big man for Syracuse, that's a problem because the way that they defend the bigs on the backside of the zone. But they clamped down on Michigan State and the Spartans. Man, that was a team that was probably the most talented team heading into the season. You had Miles Bridges, outstanding player for them. But something wasn't right about that team this year. I know they went 30-4. That's a tremendous record to go during the regular season. But there were times where I watched them, and I'm just like, man, something doesn't seem right. Something doesn't click. I didn't like the way they looked. Jaren Jackson Jr., I wonder how he'll be in the pros. Personally, I think he's a little overrated. I think Bagley's a lot better than him. I mean, Bagley is ahead of him in a lot of mock drafts, but they're kind of close together a little bit in some. And I don't see the appeal of Jaren Jackson Jr., just saying. Kansas and Clemson will meet in the other Sweet 16 matchup. Clemson taking care of business against Penn. Penn put up a fight in the first round, like the first 30 minutes or so before Kansas pulled away. You usually see that a lot in the tournament where, you know, the number 1 or 2, 3 seeds, they'll kind of toy with the lower seeds, and then they kind of pull away late. Well, we didn't see that against UMBC and Virginia. So that's your Midwest bracket. And then out here in the West, you know, another team that, you know, Xavier, for instance. Xavier, this is not the best Xavier team we've seen in the last couple of years, but they were still a 1 seed. So, again, just kind of shows you how diluted these teams are right now. I mean, to be honest with you, there is not much separation between Florida State and Xavier. And Florida State, they pull off a shocking win. Xavier stopped hitting free throws at the end. Florida State makes a valiant comeback, and it's Florida State and Gonzaga. So you got another bracket down here that's sent upside down. So you got 2 regions where, you know, it's not going to be a sexy Sweet 16 and Elite 8. Kansas State, Kentucky, Loyola, Chicago, and then down here we got a 9-4-3-7. Texas A&M just completely obliterated North Carolina. So North Carolina is a team that's been kind of struggling with size this year, and Texas A&M they certainly have that, led by Tyler Davis. So they go and win there. Michigan with a crazy buzzer beater and against Houston. And they move on. And then up here, you've got Gonzaga and Florida State. I like the way Gonzaga is playing. I thought they were kind of toying with UNC Greensboro in the first round. I did watch that game. They won late on a Norvell three-pointer from the wing. And against Ohio State, they got up like 13-0. And then Ohio State took the lead in the second half. And then Gonzaga kind of pulled away at the end. So I got Gonzaga and Michigan here in the Elite 8. And I think that's where it's going to go. So my bracket's sitting pretty. Let's take a look at the leaderboard here. So this is the one I'm in. Where am I? Oh, that's not the one. Where are we at? This one. All right, so I am currently in 4th place. But as you can see, the projected totals, your PPRs, as long as Duke wins it all, I'm going to win this bracket. 1280. That Villanova-Duke game, though, in the Final Four, that's going to be crazy good. I can't wait for that game. And that's definitely going to happen, I think. We'll see. But Duke is my winner, and if they win it all, I'm going to win this bracket. I'm going to win a pool. Yay! And this is my other bracket, by the way. So this is like, I always do two brackets, right? So one is my serious bracket, and another one is like for bigger pools. And if I'm in a bigger pool, I pick a lot more upsets, right? If you have like more people in the pool, like say like 100 or 200 people. And that's what I did here. And check out who I picked in the first round. I picked UMBC. I literally did. And I actually nailed a lot of these Sweet 16 teams. I had Kansas State, Kentucky, Loyola Chicago. I didn't have Cincinnati, but you can see here, I'm in the 100 percentile in the entire world for this. But as you can see, my PPR for this bracket not as high as the other one. So I'm looking pretty in two brackets. So this is a bigger bracket. I haven't actually checked the standings of where I'm at for that one, but that's another one. So I did like two of them, but this one I just simply pick more upsets, and that's all. So because in this other bracket that I do, you get, not only do you get points rewarded for your pick, but if you get a seed right? So if you say you got UMBC right, so you get 1 point in the first round, plus 16, plus their seed total. So if you pick Virginia, it's 1-1, so you get 2 points. But if you pick UMBC, you get 17 points. And that was my logic behind picking UMBC, because I thought they were severely underrated heading into the tournament. They shouldn't have been a 16 seed. They're more like a 14 seed. And Virginia is known to be choke artists, and that's what they do. Tony Bennett just can't get the job done in the NCAA tournament. And that's what it is. All right, so those are my thoughts on the bracket so far, and that's that. I'll see you guys later. Peace.